Hello. In this program, I'm going to try to show you all the fundamentals of golf shot making that I've learned and applied in my own game over the past 30 years. We'll begin with the full shots, looking first at the much neglected preliminaries to swinging the club, and then at the action itself, step by step. Next, we'll put it all together in slow motion with various angles and with different clubs, again concentrating on what I consider the key fundamentals of a fine golf swing. After that, we'll look at 9 full shot factors that bear heavily on how well you play this game, with particular emphasis on controlling the flight of the ball. Next, we'll look at the basics of the short game, the scoring shots from wedge play right on through the putter. Finally, my lifelong teacher, Jack Grout, will join us to offer some thoughts on learning and improving at golf. Okay, let's go to work. To play all the different shots in the game of golf, the rules allow 14 different clubs. But fortunately, you only have to learn basically one swing. When I started playing the game of golf, I had an instructor, Jack Grout, who believed that all golf shots should be played with one basic swing. He felt like the grip should be the same for all shots, the aim should be the same for all shots, the ball position should be the same for all shots, and the basic swing arc and plane should be the same for all shots. The only variables were the length of the shaft, the loft of the club, and whether the club face was closed at address or open at address to produce a draw or fade. Otherwise, the golf swing was the same throughout all clubs. Now let me show you the one basic golf swing from 2 different angles with 4 different clubs: the 9-iron, the 5-iron, the 2-iron, and the driver. And you'll notice that the approach to the shot, the golf swing, the ball position, the arc of the swing, the plane of the swing is the same with all the clubs. The rhythm remains the same with all the clubs. The only thing that varies is that the stance is narrow with the 9-iron and gets wider as we move to the 5-iron, the 2-iron, and the driver. The ball is further away as we move from the 9-iron, the 5-iron, 2-iron to the driver. The swing becomes a little bit longer as the clubs progress, only because of the length of the shaft. But the golf swing and the approach to the shot remains exactly the same through all the clubs. And I think that's important in learning how to play the game of golf. When playing varying length shots and different types of shot, the average golfer has a tendency to want to change his swing for the shot. In other words, if he's got a short 5-iron shot, he takes a short swing. If he's got a long 5-iron shot, he takes a long, hard swing. Not the same swing. I think that you should try to use the same exact golf swing for every shot. If you want to play a longer shot, hit a 4-iron. If you want to hit a shorter shot, hit a 6-iron. If you want to hit a shot right to left, close the face slightly. If you want to hit a shot left to right, open the club face slightly. Now, there's a million different things that you can do to play different shots. But basically, you want to use the same swing, the same approach with all shots. Make sure that the ball is in the proper position in the stance, and the swing is the same. Nice rhythmic golf swing with all shots. I think it'll help you. The grip is the simplest and easiest fundamental, and also the most important fundamental in the game of golf. A good grip allows everything in the swing to happen naturally. What is a good grip? What are the elements of a good grip? Well, let's try to do as many things as natural as possible. First of all, let's let our hands hang at our sides. Now, as the left hand's hanging down at my side, that's where I want the club to fit, just where the way the left hand hangs. My right hand, as it's hanging to my side naturally, I just bring it up as though I was shaking hands with somebody, and I put it on the golf club. That puts both hands on the club in a reasonably straight fashion. Whether you use an interlocking grip, an overlapping grip, or a full finger grip, I don't really think makes much difference. It's a matter of personal comfort on how you connect your hands. Now, the left hand is the strength of the golf grip. It has to be the support. So the golf club passes diagonally across the palm of the left hand. If you were going to hit somebody, let's just say with the back of your hand, you wouldn't flick them with your fingers. You'd hit them with the strongest part of your hand, and that's the back of your left hand. And that's what I want the golf club sitting directly behind that. Now, the right hand is exactly the opposite. The right hand is the part that applies the hit. So I want to use the fingers of the right hand, right across there. Now, why do I want to use the fingers? Well, if I were going to throw a ball, I wouldn't put it in the palm of my hand. I'd put it in the fingers of my hand, so I have something to snap it. So the combination of strength and hit are the two elements of the right and left hand put together straight on the golf club to produce a good grip. The most common fault of a golfer with a bad grip is his inability to be able to get a complete release and a full extension at the golf ball at the time of impact. Well, he thinks that he needs more strength within his grip, and he tries to take his left hand and turn it left, what we call a motorcycle grip. And he tries to take his right hand underneath the grip. He feels very strong at this position, but in fact, it's a weak position because one of two things are going to happen. One is that to keep the club face straight, he cannot release the club because he has to keep his hands forward and never really applies his power. Or two, if he does release his hands and the hands want to return to a normal position, the club face becomes closed, resulting in a duck hook. The other side of the coin is the grip that is too weak, resulting in an early release and a loss of power, or if the hands are kept to the golf ball, results in an open face at impact. Remember, you want to keep your hands straight on the golf club so that you can apply the club face squarely on the ball in a square position at impact. It's just as though your hands were hanging to your side, brought together, separated and closed. That's a good golf grip. The best golf shot in the world really doesn't make any difference if it isn't aimed at the target. I want to show you a simple way of how I go about lining up a golf shot, and I think it'll help you. Is it easier to line up a 2-foot putt or a 40-foot putt? Well, obviously a 2-foot putt. Likewise, I'm sure it's much easier to line up a tee shot from 3 feet than it is from 250 yards. For the purpose of this exercise, let's use this tee. Now, that's illegal to do that during a round of golf, but when I am playing a round of golf, I try to pick out a spot, whether it be an old tee or a piece of dirt or a divot or some grass, something that's readily identifiable. And I try to draw a line from that spot back through the ball. So I'm sure you've seen me walk back behind a shot on television many times and do this, and what I'm really doing is I'm looking down the target line. I've picked a spot, I've got my ball, and I've got the target. And I try to draw a straight line between all those 3 spots. So let's see, this tee here looks, well, it's pretty much on line with the target. So I'm back here, I'll look at it, I'll walk up to the ball, and what I try to do is I try to take a parallel stance with the line that I've drawn, this imaginary line that I've drawn back through the spot, the ball, and the target. Now, of course, when I take a parallel stance, I then can get the ball right off the right spot in my feet. And of course, I do not want my lines converging. In other words, I do not want my feet working to the right of the target or at the target. I want them parallel, not converging. So here we are. Parallel lines. We know the ball's in the proper place in the stance. I look up for comfort, And now I'm ready to hit it. Not too bad for an old man, huh? Tell me if you know this fella. He goes to the practice tee, hits the ball beautifully, stands up on the first tee, hits it 20 yards out in the trees, and spends the rest of the day changing his swing and his grip. When in fact, if he'd gone through our little lesson here and picked out a spot 3 feet out in front of the ball on the practice tee, hit a few shots, getting adjusted to that, walking up to it on the first tee, picking out a spot and taking his parallel line, he would have been able to stand up on the first tee with confidence and down the middle and off to a good round and a lot of fun. The more things you can do right before you swing the golf club, the easier the game of golf becomes. Ball position is one of those fundamental elements that must be done correctly if you want to consistently hit good golf shots. I say the ball should be played off just inside the left heel. Why do I say that? Well, I think you have to understand the elements